Hello and welcome to the Find Your Peak podcast where fitness meets real life. I'm your host Megan Morensky and today I'm going to tell you how to lose fat the right way. First off, I want to apologise. I'm fighting some bad allergies just now, so I know I sound a bit like a teenage boy. I'm probably going to be sniffing a little bit here and there, so apologies for that. But I'm here, we're getting the episode done, and let's get straight to it. So today, like I said, I'm going to talk to you about how to lose fat and keep it off and lose fat the right way. And I say the right way as too many people attempt to lose body fat by implementing ineffective strategies. I see it a lot where people exercise where it's stimulating muscle loss rather than fat loss. And they focus too much on calories burned and calories consumed. So I often see people looking at how many calories they're burning while they're on the treadmill, and then they're consuming too little as well. And also failing to adjust as their body adapts. So as you introduce exercise, introduce training, your body is constantly changing. So it's important you make adjustments in your nutrition to complement that. Going off my last episode, I also see people starting off from a place where their body's not primed for fat loss. So maybe they've not followed the steps, where they've not found their why they're doing certain things, and thought about how they're going to implement it. And we're going to talk about more of this in the episode, so stick around for that. So of course there are other reasons out there, but these are the main ones I've noticed. But I'm going to tell you how to lose fat and keep it off for life. I would like to point out that this advice is based off current trends that I'm noticing with clients and the general public. If you do need additional support, then please reach out and I can answer any questions you may have. As I reiterate to my clients over and over again, everyone is on their own journey with their own body. Hence why any information out there is general advice, and it may not be 100% applicable to your given situation. And this is where hiring someone that knows what they're doing can help. Or also paying attention to the changes you're seeing in your body. If you go on a calorie calculator, for example, it's going to spit out a number. Try it. If you're feeling like crap, change it. Or if you feel like it's too much, change it. Adjust to what suits your needs. Like I said, hiring someone that knows what they're doing can help with this. So I'm going to keep these tips very simple and straight to the point, and I have designed them to target the general population. So the average 9-to-5 worker who doesn't have the time to spend hours and hours in a gym or researching this. So it's easy things that you can implement today that are going to have incredible results. And they're really basic, okay? The first one is tracking your macros. So for those of you that don't know what macros is short for macronutrients. And when I say that, it's tracking your protein, carbs, and your fats, okay? So there's tons of different ways you can go about this. There's free apps out there, such as MyFitnessPal, it's probably the most popular one. I love using MacroFactor. It is paid, but it's amazing. If you don't want to do it on your phone, a simple pen and paper works just as effectively, okay? And I want you to track your food for a week. So it's everything that you consume. So that's creamers in your coffee, any type of drinks that has calories in it, sauces, all of it. Be as accurate as you can. Okay, so tracking your macros brings awareness to what we're putting in our body. Without this awareness, it's hard to make changes that move the needle towards your goals. It's a lot of guesswork if you're not tracking. And I'm not saying you have to track for the rest of your life. A lot of my clients track their macros every single day. Other ones, I get them to track every so often just to see where we're at, and then we make changes from there. So start with, if this is your first time tracking, start with 1 week of normal eating. So do your best to just track a typical week. Try not to change anything. Typically people do change things because they see, holy crap, did not realize there's that much carbs and sugar and calories in an Oreo. I'm going to have 2 instead of 4. But be as accurate as you can, and then make adjustments from there. The one adjustment I would make is paying attention to your protein goal, or your protein consumption, and set a protein target. So typically what I see is people under eating protein. So that's the first thing I want you to look at is your protein. Aim for 1 gram of pound per body weight, or 1 gram per pound of target body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, I want you to consume 150 grams of protein. Now, if your weight is 250 pounds and your goal weight is 200 pounds, I want you to aim for 200 grams of protein, okay? I know that sounds like a lot, and you're like, holy crap, how did I get that? Get your starting point and just make little changes from there. Improve week over week. Aim for a 5 gram of protein increase week over week. And it's incredible. And once this habit becomes normal for you, and try your best to be consistent with this. So I always say this to my clients, consistency over perfection. If you have a bad day, eating wise, or a bad meal, whatever it is, just make sure the next one's good. Get back on track as soon as you can. Okay, being consistent over having perfect days and then crap, like just, I have the perfect day, and then the next day you start off with a bad breakfast. Screw it, I'm just gonna write this day off, and that turns into a weekend, and before you know it, you're back to square one. So being consistent as much as possible, being patient with the process, and also trialing and error different things. You're never going to get it straight out of the bat. You need to try different things, try different foods, try things that suit your schedule. There's going to be things that just don't work, and that's okay. Try a different strategy. Okay, so trial and error, being patient with it, it takes time. And also remind yourself, if you hate tracking, because I know it can be a tedious practice, remind yourself that this is temporary. It's just to get your starting point, see where your numbers are at, and then adjust from there. And then try that. If you see that you're under eating in protein, try increasing your protein for a month. And then see how you feel. Pay attention to your hunger, pay attention to your performance in the gym, pay attention to how your clothes are fitting, see what the scale weight's saying. Track again for another week, see where you're at. Make adjustments again, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing, I want you to strength train. And when I say strength train, also known as resistance training, it means lifting weights that stimulate the muscle. This is not high-intensity cardio. It's not doing a bunch of body weight squats and then straight into burpees. It's lifting weights that stimulate the muscle. Okay, so things like squats, deadlifts, bicep curls, tricep extensions, chest press, all this good stuff. And aim to progress week over week. Now you can progress in different ways. You can add weight, you can add reps, you can add sets, you can play around with the tempo. Again, this is why hiring a coach can help. They can kind of help you with this process. And I would change your program. So do a workout, do that for 4 to 6 weeks, and then change it. If you keep continuously doing the same thing over and over again, your body's going to adapt and you're going to plateau. You're not going to see any gains. You need to expose your body to different stimulus week over week. Otherwise, like I said, it will just adapt and you'll plateau. To help with the strength training and building that habit of working out, I suggest having some form of accountability. And this can be having your spouse do it, a friend, hiring a personal trainer or a coach. But when I have people, especially couples, it's great because you can feed off each other's progress. And when you're not feeling it one day, your spouse can pick you up. You can kind of be in the journey together. It's really good when you have someone out with your coach that's in your bubble helping you and supporting you. If you're totally new to strength training, I suggest starting with 30-minute sessions twice a week. Do an upper body and a lower body. The biggest thing I want you to do is ensuring the muscles are being stimulated. So you could keep this as simple as, for an upper body day, doing 3 sets, 10 reps of dumbbell bench press, and then going into some dumbbell lateral raises, and then some tricep extensions. Doing that 3 sets, 10 for each exercise, and progressing from there. Lower body, it could be as simple as a leg press, a leg extension, and a leg curl. And maybe you could throw some lunges in there. But just starting off with 30-minute sessions twice a week and then going from there. If your schedule allows for it, just develop that habit, develop the skill, and keep learning, keep growing, keep pushing yourself. The third thing is drinking water. And I know this sounds so simple, but it's amazing how little water people are drinking. When I ask people what their water consumption is like, they'll tell me they have, coffee in the morning and they have a bottle of water by their desk while they're working, and then they have like a soda in the afternoon, and then that's it. And they're kind of drinking sodas the rest of the day. But it's amazing how many people underconsume water. This is so important, as people often confuse hunger for thirst. We think we're hungry, we're just really thirsty. I suggest drinking before and after a meal helps with satiety, so it keeps you fuller for longer, but also helps with your digestion. Okay, this is a really easy habit that you can get into, and just always having a bottle of water with you. I also suggest starting the day with a glass of water. Our bodies, when you're sleeping, you're not drinking for 70 hours. You're going to wake up, you are dehydrated. So having a glass of water, set it out the night before, have that before you do anything else. People often ask me for targets. I like to work with people to see where they're at now and then work from there. But if you are wanting a target, for women, I suggest 2.5 litres per day. For men, 3 litres per day. And that is minimum. If you can drink more than that, then it's fantastic. The one thing I want to say, so when I suggest to people to drink water, they often complain because they'll pee more. And I want to remind you that peeing is normal. As humans, we are meant to pee. The fourth tip I'm going to give you is simply walking more. Going off the whole peeing thing, we are meant to walk. Like humans, we're meant to walk. That is our way of natural transport, if that's the way you'd like to think of it. The reason I want to put it in there is it is low impact, so it's easy on your joints. If you're sore from working out, this is a great way to get the blood flowing. It's a good form of active recovery. It also relieves a lot of stress. Being around nature, breathing in fresh air, just moving. I always say to my clients, motion is lotion, and that is for your mind as well, not just your body. And make it social. Go out with your husband, wife, your friends, take your dog, put a podcast in, FaceTime someone. It's amazing. The power of walking is incredible. One thing I want to bring to your attention as well, because people were like, no, I'd rather do cardio. So steady state cardio, such as walking, is great because it also uses fat for energy. High intensity training uses glycogen, such as your carbs. So that's why walking is incredible for fat loss, because it doesn't pull from your glycogen stores, it pulls from your fat stores, which is great. Another thing that is free, doesn't cost you anything, you can do it anywhere. The last thing I want to bring up is sleep. Same with walking and peeing, we are meant to sleep. I don't care who you are, no human can operate efficiently with 4 to 5 hours of sleep. There was a study done, and I'm going to link it in the show notes. There was one group that were sleep deprived and one group with 70 hours sleep with the same diet, same training routine. All participants were in a calorie deficit, and the sleep deprived group lost less fat and lost more muscle compared to the group that had a sufficient amount of sleep, the 70 hours sleep. So despite being in a calorie deficit, if you're not sleeping, you will not lose fat. It's as simple as that. It throws off your hunger signals, it throws off your recovery, it throws off your hormones. So getting 70 hours sleep is essential for fat loss. I suggest creating a morning and evening routine. So just like when you get in the morning, your alarm's set, you get up, you go to the bathroom, you weigh yourself, you make your coffee, whatever it is. Having an evening routine, it's the same thing. You have your dinner, you watch the episode, you go for your walk, whatever it is, and you're in bed roughly the same time every single night. Stabilizing sleep and wake times is incredible, having that routine. And even on weekends, I suggest keeping somewhat of a routine. I know we all like to sleep in, especially on weekends. That is time to, if you're working Monday to Friday, it's time to rejuvenate, give your body the rest it needs, absolutely. But I would avoid staying up extremely late on Fridays and Saturdays and then trying to get back to a routine Monday through Thursday. Okay, so keeping somewhat of a routine on the weekends is great for progress. So that's the tips I have. They're, like I said, really simple, but they move the needle so much. Before you start looking at supplements and crazy workout routines and different things that are gonna hacks essentially that you think are gonna work, you need to master these things first. You need to get your nutrition dialed in, so you need to find out where your starting point is. You need to start strength training. You need to be drinking water. You need to be walking or just moving more, and you absolutely need to be sleeping. The next thing we're going to jump into is our client shoutout, and this week I have Jillian. So Jillian's been working with me since the end of May, and Jillian came in with the goal to lose fat. And this is a great example of when entering a fat loss phase isn't the best thing to jump into. So Jillian came in and she was eating around 14 to 1500 calories per day, not consuming enough protein, and did not strength train. She is now strength training 4 times per week, consistently hitting her macros, and is consuming upwards of 2,200 calories. Now, like I said, this is a great example where entering a fat loss phase straight away would not have been a good idea. Instead, we have worked on getting her metabolism working again. Okay, we've got her strength training and creating habits that will set her up for a great fat loss phase. The most remarkable part of this, which a lot of you will be shocked by, is her scale weight hardly changed throughout the entire process, which is incredible. And I see this a ton. Like, people's metabolism is so suppressed because they've tried to diet for so long. They're in their head trying to reduce the amount of food, and they do it so long. Their metabolism matches that. Our bodies are very smart. It's gonna come to a point where they're just not gonna burn anymore. So that's why adding food in little by little boosts your metabolism, and you start burning. Even though you're not really doing much more. Okay, we did add the strength training in, which is great. That complements the nutrition increase. So she's building a lot of muscle in the process. But it didn't add on any fat, or very minimal fat, I should say. Like I said, I'm seeing more and more people in this point where they're under-eating and their metabolism is so suppressed and their body weight just plateaus. So anyway, back to Gillian. We're a few weeks away from entering the fat loss phase. I give her that final little push of food. She's been so incredibly consistent. It's unbelievable. But she will be in a prime spot where we won't have to cut her macros extremely low. She will never have to go to a point of consuming 1,200 calories to lose weight. Okay, she's at a nice high point where we have tons of room to move with. And we've not even touched cardio yet. The higher your starting point, the more room you have to play with. So I'm extremely excited to see Gillian keep on progressing, and I'm so blessed to be coaching her through this. If you'd like to keep up with Gillian's progress, then make sure you follow the Summit Coaching Instagram page, which I've linked in the show notes. You can keep up with her progress, my other clients' progress, my own progress. You'll also get some additional tips and tricks. Next up is the listener challenge. So this week, I want you to pick one of the following things I spoke about before. So that is either tracking your macros, start strengthening twice a week, drinking more water, going for a walk, or sleeping more. You got to pick one of those things and do it for a week. Designed to keep them simple. It's amazing the effects that they will have. But when you do this, keep it very simple, very attainable, and just build on it from there. If you are someone that's not ready to commit to big changes, then I would suggest to start by simply drinking more water. Make this your goal for 1 week. Place bottles of water on your bedside, in the fridge, in your car, all places that will make it easy for you to perform the behaviour. I always make fun of my husband because he has like 10 bottles of water in his car, and I always say he always keeps his minibar stocked up. But it's great, and he's always drinking water. It's a good habit. If you're someone who's easily forgetful, then I advise having sticky notes, around your house, in your mirror, in your fridge, your laptop, making that behaviour easy. If it's difficult, if there's barriers in place, or you're forgetful, and you say, I'm going to drink more water, but don't do anything about it, you're not going to do it. So make the habit easy, make the behaviour easy. So that's all I have for today. If you are interested in coaching, then head to the Summit Coaching Instagram page linked below and send me a message or use the link in my bio to book a free consultation where we can dive more into your goals and get you started on your fitness journey. With coaching, you'll be working with myself where I provide you custom workout plans to suit your lifestyle, nutritional coaching, formal weekly check-ins, and 24/7 accountability and support. And most of all, I will get you the results you want. Everything I do is fully customized to suit each client's needs, and I take you where you are now and get you where you want to be. As always, if you enjoy this podcast, then please give it a 5-star review, share it with your friends on social media, and please reach out if you have any specific topics you want me to cover. Make sure to subscribe. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next episode.